There are three principal galleries in the Halle Brown Ford Fine Arts Center. There's an Asian non-European gallery, the European gallery, and then our Native American gallery, and they all house our permanent collection, so those pieces are up all the time. You know, while they're not an extensive collection, it's an important collection, especially for a school and campus our size, and especially for a town our size. There's something about seeing work in the real as opposed to in a book, that it's a completely different experience. And in fact, it's kind of ironic. We take our students on trips to museums every semester, and more frequently they say, well, we have that in the hallway, or we have that in our gallery. And that's sort of exciting, that kind of, and that quality of work exists in Ada. Significant 1960s Chicago funk artist, best known for his fascination with pop culture icons and wrestlers and prostitutes. A little more off the wall, again, 1960s Chicago funk style. They were influenced by the pop artists like Andy Warhol and people like that. They were at the same time period, but they had a stronger edge. Warhol would be considered tame by their standards. They liked the seedier aspects of pop culture. In fact, they're sometimes referred to as the Monster Roster or the Harry Who School, and they go by both names. Liberts is one of the best known, or maybe the best known, and most significant painter from Latvia, and his work is in the collection of the Met in New York, the New York Public Library, the White House, and East Central University. He did a lot of travelogue paintings. One of the paintings is of obviously St. Mark's in Venice. And what he did was he utilized a lot of the techniques of the Impressionists, broken color, broad, quick brush strokes. He had more black in his paintings than the Impressionists would have used, though. And so he tends to be more like a Nobby's painter or someone of that ilk. He was still one of the avant-garde in Latvia, because Latvia wasn't right on the cutting edge. Nobby's and Impressionism is more cutting edge in Paris in the 1870s, 1880s, 1890s, and so it took a few years for it to get to Latvia and catch on. And when he emigrated, he taught at NYU, and his paintings were highly respected. He'd also experimented with opera, which is kind of interesting. Best known for his very long handlebar mustache and the fact that he would sit on a throne and issue edicts. But as he aged, he started to do less and less original painting and more prints. And eventually, he got to the point where that was all he was doing exclusively was printmaking. Like I said, he's well known for his eccentricities, but that all went with his surreal life and the fact that his entire life was theater of the absurd, something the surrealists loved. Matisse is attributed to Matisse, and the reason why it's questionable is it's off of sketchbook. And though it looks like Matisse's marks and it's definitely his signature, it's not in his catalog, so we can't attribute it to him. The Matisse is a working sketch, it's not a finished piece. So you get to see his style, you get to see his mistakes, his foibles. The Goya is a small intaglio print, and it was originally published in a book, in a catalog, and it's been reprinted. And so this is a restrike, which significantly affects its value, but as an important piece, it's still a piece that Goya handled the plate, but it's not part of the original series. The neoclassical period is about revolution and about war and overthrowing the kings and queens. The neoclassicals are the artwork of the revolution. Thomas Jefferson We study him in our history class because he's a famous neoclassical architect. Paul Revere, another person you're probably familiar with. We also study in our art history class a famous neoclassical silversmith. So it's those periods that those people reflect. English Rococo artist, and it's one of his more sarcastic pieces. That's one of the things Hogarth's best known for, is his sarcasm. The Rococo period is probably best known for Chippendale furniture. Most Americans are pretty familiar with Chippendale furniture. Chippendale is English Rococo, just like the Hogarth piece is. Rococo is excessively flamboyant type of art, usually made for the aristocracy, particularly kings and queens. In Halle Brown Ford, we have 3 small permanent collection galleries. And there are Edo period prints from Japan, Hiroshige, Suzuki, some really big names associated with Edo period prints. There's also a Chinese student brush drawing in that gallery as well. And then there's a little bit of Chicago funk that's going up in the hallway next to it. Our own DeLoss McGraw has a big piece, Ozman, in there. We're going to be adding a couple more pieces over the next couple months. We've got a Carl Worstrom, another Chicago funk artist. Just to the east of center is the European Gallery, and beyond that, the furthest east gallery is the Native American Gallery. And there's a small selection, although important, of pieces by Native American artists representing the flat style, dream style. People like Woody Crumbo, for example, and Bert Seaborn. And there are a number of significant artists there as well. The Kinsey collection of Native American pottery is probably the 5th best public collection of pottery, of Native American pottery from the Southwest in Oklahoma. And it's donated by Dr. Kinsey, who was one of the first people that excavated Chaco and Frijole Canyon and donated those pieces to ECU. The rest of the stuff is over in the University Library, and it's the rest of our Native American collection. Bronze sculptures by people like Kelly Haney, people would recognize that name. Again, more flat style work, and then again, all the way through to more contemporary pieces are located on the 2nd and 3rd floor of the University Library.